We also work with video game companies and other digital content creators such as animation studios and app developers. We have been around for around 3 years now, and we have had the opportunity to work with several entrepreneurs, whether they were involved with on apps.co or in different entrepreneurial programs. Okay, so we're going to start. So what is a negotiation strategy, and why do I need one? Your approach and preparation before you start reviewing a contract or talking to someone about deal structure is going to set you on a path to success. It's important to look within and get a sense of what you value and what is important to everyone.
Nobody likes to negotiate these contracts. Everybody wants it to go smoothly because you want to move on to what comes next, the business side. So if you want the negotiations to be efficient, there are some things you need to think about ahead of time and some tips to make it run a little smoother that we recommend.
So we came up with a list of things prior to that negotiation that you need to keep in mind, and this is a list that you can see right there. These are the things that you need to keep. First of all, prepare. Know yourself. Know what's important to the other side. Avoid over-promising and evaluate your leverage. We're going to go through each one during the presentation, and we're going to talk about why each one of these are really important.
And again, this is before you even start negotiating. So the first one is preparation. So be thorough. When you're negotiating with somebody, a publisher or whomever, they're investing in you as much as they're investing in your game or your idea. Probably more so than you. So have a detailed budget. Have answers to all of their questions. And that only applies if you do homework ahead of time. The last thing they want to hear is, I'm not sure, I think I can do that, or I'll have to get back to you. So if you walk in there with confidence, with everything that you have laid out ahead of time, they're going to appreciate that, and they're going to feel like you were more worthy of their investment.
One really important thing that Patrick just mentioned is really know your capacities, know how your studio works, know what you're capable of. You need to know how much time it actually takes for you to complete one project. If you're going to be able to do it with the team or the people that you have, or if you need to hire people in order for you to comply with whatever this contract is promising or is establishing. So it's really important that you get to know what you're capable of and to be honest to yourself and just know if you're going to be able to comply with what you're required.
I recommend for most of my clients, before they even start negotiating, when they've had a first call that says, hey, let's talk about this, I recommend they take 2 weeks of preparation time, just to make sure that they get all of their numbers in a row and they understand exactly what they're walking into.
That's one of the reasons why we put some examples over there that says, like, have a detailed budget. If you know what each stage of production is going to cost, that's probably going to set you up in a better position to explain why are you charging so much, or why are you asking for that specific amount of money that you're asking. Also, there's something about having a delivery schedule that's pretty much laying or telling the person who's about to hire you what are you going to be delivering in the following month or in a specific period of time. This is a huge advantage because that's basically telling the other side or telling the publisher or whoever's going to hire you how much time does it take your studio to comply with one single task or one single project.
And equally as important as your preparation is understanding what is valuable to you in this negotiation. It can be many different things. Sometimes it's just the money, right? But other times it's more important for a developer to get some credit, get some experience, and be able to say they've shipped a game. And other times it's the back-end royalty. Whatever it may be, that's fine. It's a perfectly valid answer. It's probably not all of those, but you need to focus on what's most important to you and look within yourself and figure that out.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to say before, and it's really related to this, is like sometimes when it comes to know what's important to you, you also need to tell what you need from the publisher or what you need from the person who is about to hire you. So, as Patrick was saying, it can go beyond money. For example, if you're going to enter some sort of revenue share agreement in which they're going to do the digital distribution of your game, for example, and let's say that you're not getting money, but your game is going to be in several digital stores, you definitely need that publisher or that person who is going to be in charge of the digital distribution to invest money on marketing, for example. You know, so it is important to know what you need.
And it's just as important for once you figure out what's important to you, it's important to tell your lawyers that because we need to know how to negotiate. If you only care about the credit in the game, then I'm wasting my time fighting for IP ownership or fighting for your percentages. If your main concern is fear, then that's where our focus will be in the negotiation.
Yeah. If you know, for example, that a project, you're not really interested in credit, but you're interested, obviously, in getting paid, then that's something that your lawyers are going to help you with. And when we say that we're going to help you with that, it's like, okay, so there are certain things that we're just going to keep out the way and mainly focus in getting the money that you need or getting paid in a specific time.
The flip side of knowing what's important to you is knowing what's important to the side you're negotiating with. So they may only care about owning your IP. So you can find this out very easily because a lot of times the deals that they do routinely are pretty well publicized. If they're not publicly available information, talk to other developers who may have worked with them. It's a very open community. People like to talk about the deals that they've done. Talk to your representatives, your biz dev people, your lawyers, your agents. We all know what types of deals these people work on and what's important to them. So if you know what's important to yourself and you know what's important to them, you can find that middle ground again even before you start talking.
Yeah. Every single person in this industry is different. We have different priorities, we have different objectives. So it is really important for you to know who you're dealing with and what is important to them. If this is an industry where you can basically ask or reach out to anybody, to a studio or to somebody who has worked with a publisher before and ask them what is really important to them. You know, is it something? Is it delivery? Is it quality? What do they focus on? Because in that way, you're going to be really successful to actually build a deal that's going to be convenient for both parties.
Overpromising. This is just something I never recommend any client ever does. Promising them that you can do something that you realistically can't do or don't think you can do, you're setting yourselves up for failure. Again, the negotiation is the first 2 or 3 days of a long-term relationship. If you're lying effectively to them in the first 2 or 3 days, the rest of your relationship will go very, very poorly. So just don't do it. The best case scenario that happens to you is they figure out that you're effectively lying to them and there's no deal. The worst case that happens is they find out a month or 2 later and then they reach the contract and then there's a whole lot of other things that can go wrong.
Yeah, sometimes faster and cheaper is not a good selling point. It's not something that you might want to do, especially because it might jeopardize the position your studio is in. So many times you're going to think something like, and I'm going to say in Spanish, si es más barato, más seguro y me contratan, and you think that they're going to hire you because it's cheap and because it's going to be good quality, you might be over-promising. As we said before, you really need to know your studio, how it works, if you're going to be in capabilities of doing what you're committing to, or if you're going to fail miserably, and if you actually overpromise just because you want to impress somebody and you're going to say like, oh, this 1-year project, we're going to be able to do it in 3 months, you're definitely about to see something really bad going to happen to your studio.
I was representing a publisher once many years ago, and I was talking to a developer, and I said, hey, we're looking for somebody to do this third-person RPG game, and we need you to do it in 15 months and before I could even say the amount of money, they said, yes, we can do that. I haven't set a number yet. You have no idea what the scope of the game is yet. We can do it, no problem. That's telling me you can't do it. You don't care. You just want the contract. And so we didn't work with them. So you want somebody who's...
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily, I mean, it's not going to give the right impression. You know? So even if you think that you're going to be faster, that you have the best team ever, you have to be realistic. And this business is about being realistic and actually delivering what you're promising to whoever is hiring you.
So when you look at all of these things in totality, you have a sense of what leverage you might have in this negotiation that you're about to start. And that leverage might be very little. I think the perception is most of the time, especially for the smaller studios, with your first game or your second game, that you have no leverage. But that's not true. They're choosing you. They want to negotiate with you. They think you're their best option too, on some level. So you do have some leverage. Now you may not have leverage for everything that you want, but you might have just enough leverage to get the one or two things that you've already identified that you need, credit, etc.
Yeah. I've talked to many studios, and I remember this case where the publisher pretty much gave him a contract, and the studio wasn't willing to negotiate because they thought the publishers were going to get mad, or they were going to pull up the deal. And as Patrick was saying, if they choose you, it's because they find something interesting, or they really appreciate something on your offer, or on your capabilities, and on your skills. So don't think that because that you are a studio, a small studio, doesn't mean that you don't have any value, or that you don't have a right to actually demand or to ask for certain things in a contract or a deal.
So now you've prepared, you're ready to negotiate, you know what you want, you know what's important to you. Now what? How does it work from here? So many times there's an analogy that negotiating is like playing poker. You bluff, you win, you lose, you walk away, you fold. I don't personally agree with that, but I think there are some aspects of it that are valid, and so we're going to go with a bit of a poker analogy for the rest of this presentation. We're going to have a little bit of fun with it. So the best analogy for negotiating from here on in is a specific kind of poker, dog's playing poker. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with this series of paintings. There was 16 paintings that were commissioned around, I think, 1900. They were commissioned to actually sell cigars. So in effect, it was the world's first work-for-hire project. So there's a lot that you can learn from watching these dogs play poker. The first one, I think, is, are you dealing with the right person? If you'll notice in this picture, all dogs are talking to one particular dog or facing one.
Los perros están hablando con un solo perro, están mirando hacia un solo perro. Si ustedes no tienen una persona que tome decisiones correctas en sus negociaciones, realmente tienen que buscarlas. Y si no tienen una persona así, van a tener varios problemas. Empiezan a intercambiar correos electrónicos con alguien que...
Build a relationship, build a rapport with him or her, because that's the person who's going to make your negotiation run smoothly, even if you're not going to get it. This goes back to what we were saying about over-promising. This is effectively the corollary of over-promising. Don't cheat or bluff, as you see here the dog handing a card to the other dog. The most common bluff that...
Ya voy en un punto muy avanzado de negociaciones con otro desarrollador, entonces si quiere hacer el negocio hay que hacerlo ya. Entonces apenas ustedes salgan,
your negotiation strategy.
And the most important thing, I think, about consistency is having one point of contact for your negotiation. It's very common for publishers, it's very common with some of the agents out there to try to talk to a bunch of different people and get a better answer from talking to one person than another. So, and that's just a negotiation tactic that you always want to funnel it back to the one person so you have a consistent message.
Yeah, you pretty much want to avoid the he said, she said. Okay. Something's wrong with the translation. So you can actually speak Spanish, so go ahead. Sí. Let us know when translation is working, please. It's not working. We never had a translator? Oh.
We never had it. We never had it. We did? Okay, we'll just continue, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, the one point of contact is certainly very important, and it builds on that consistency, and I think will make your negotiation go more effective and quicker.
Yes, one of the things that we were saying is you want to avoid the he said, she said, you know, so it's better to have one point of contact. If we're going to be talking through email, we're going to do it through one email account, or we're going to do it through our CEO or through our CTO or through the person or through the account of the person who's going to be in charge. But we're not going to name 3 different contact points, each having their own versions of what's going on, and it's better just to have one channel of communication, one single person.
So those are the common tips that you're going to take into your negotiation. We've listed out a few others that are more general tips that I think you should bear in mind where possible. So they teach you this in law school. Try not to make the first offer in every chance you get. The reason is, when they make the first offer, it shows you their thought process. You can get a lot of information just from seeing what that offer is, and you avoid the possibility of making an offer that's too low, by yourself. You can put it out there first. Maybe they were willing to pay you more. So I think it's where possible. It's not always possible. Always try to let the other side make the first offer.
This is the part where Patrick and I don't necessarily agree, because I believe that you should have a budget and you should have you should be honest about how much do you actually want. It's going to come into a point where a publisher is going to ask you for an offer or a quote, and it's going to tell you how much for this, and you're not going to say how much do you get. It's more about doing a certain homework before you actually make an offer. You have to be really specific. If I'm going to make an offer, then you know that I'm going to include, let's say, live ops, or I'm going to need licensing, or I'm going to need to acquire certain rights in order to develop this, or if it's this big of a project, then I'm going to need to hire at least 10 or 20 more people to my studio. So you kind of prepare people for the impact, of what we're about to say.
And I think I would probably clarify that a little bit and agree with Jorge. If you have all the information that you need, then maybe making the offer is okay. But if they just say how much would you bid on this game to work for us? Well, you need to get more information about the scope of the game, the timeline, etc., so you can make an educated proposal of what that number is. But again, I try not to make the first one where possible.
Okay, no, before, actually, we have an example here, remember? Yes. One of the examples that I wanted to bring out is, I remember this studio I used to work with, that they were working for a big network, and they told them that they wanted this studio to build a mobile version for one of their IPs. And during the meeting, for some reason, he brought a number, and he said a number. How much for, this video game, or they didn't even say how much, but they told him, we want to hire you. Will you send us an offer? And he said sure, it's $10,000. And they said, okay, $10,000, let us think about it. And then, 2 weeks went by and they said, well, we'll take you on those $10,000. Later down the road, they became friends. They started talking about, that first game that they work on, and then they told him, you know what, remember that time that we met when we started working on the project and you were building the first video game that we asked you, the mobile version of this IP, and he said, yes, you said $10,000. We were willing to pay you $100,000. So it does happen, you know. I mean, I don't have $100,000, but I will surely need them.
Don't be afraid to walk away from a deal. So my clients, I try to encourage them to think long-term, not just about this contract and not just about this particular project, but think about the long-term impact that this deal will have on you and your studio in general. So some deals are too little time to do the job right. If you take that deal and you fail, not only are you going to be in trouble with this particular publisher, they're going to blame you. They're not going to blame themselves. You're also going to potentially set yourself up with a bad reputation for other publishers who are so don't ever be afraid to walk away from a bad deal. Obviously, everybody wants it to work out, but sometimes the deal just isn't going to be something that you can succeed with.
Yeah, there are times where this popular saying that says something about a bad deal is better than no deal. Sometimes it just doesn't apply. If you're not going to be able to meet your payroll, to pay your employees, or to actually deliver on the time that they're asking for, then this is something that, as Patrick said, is going to affect your company. It's not going to be something positive for you. So walking away from the deal is an option, and you shouldn't be afraid of. Sometimes you have to say no.
And I have a client who years ago he sent me a contract. He said, "I'm signing this at the end of today. I know you probably aren't going to have time to negotiate. I need this deal to pay payroll." And sure enough, signed the deal, paid payroll, but 3 months later, he had to fire everybody again because the deal was not set up for success. And yeah, those people got 3 more months worth of payroll, but his reputation took a hit, and he couldn't find another deal for a while. So be prepared. Understand that some deals are just not.
Yeah, sometimes not even what your client's going to be asking meets your budget. So if they're asking too much and paying too little, you should say no. I was actually talking to a client of mine last week about that, and he felt a little bit bad because he had to walk away from a deal he was really willing to work with. He was trying to make it work, trying to make the budget work, taking out things out of the budget, out of whatever he was offering. But it is really convenient sometimes just to say no in order to keep your company alive and to keep your reputation as it is.
And I think this is more of an option now than it was 10 years ago. Sometimes you don't even need the publisher in the first place. Right? 10 years ago, you had to find one. You needed to work with somebody. Now you have an option. Right? There is always the option to self-publish or try and figure out how to.
No, entonces la cámara es la que no me está recibiendo.
I remember we were talking yesterday.
No, ya está llegando, bájemele.
Desperate to sign anything, and that's why they don't walk away from it. They're desperate just to say, I have a publisher, I'm working with somebody, and they don't realize that maybe it's not the most convenient contract for their company, and this is something that we're going to talk about next.
A lot of publishers will say, this is our standard deal, we don't negotiate. And that ties back to evaluating your leverage and understanding your position in the negotiation beforehand. Anyone who says this, usually not true. So every publisher negotiates a little bit. Maybe not a lot, maybe not in the areas that you want, but there's no such thing as sign this or else we don't negotiate at all. It just doesn't work that way.
Everything is negotiable until a certain point, and it's really important to keep it in mind. If you want to keep working, if you want to keep your studio alive, you really need to set up your conditions and the whole logistics of how you're going to be working with this publisher. Of course, there are certain no's and certain things that they're definitely not going to agree on, but everything is negotiable until a certain point. One of the things that we were saying before, if they say this is our standard contract, there's no way we're going to modify it. Maybe you're talking to the wrong person if they tell you that. Because the right person is going to tell you, okay, let's stop, what are your conditions, this is what we will be willing to change, and so.
Deal fatigue. Deal fatigue is a term that basically means the negotiation has gone on too long, it's been inefficient on some level, and both sides are starting to get angry.
Ambas partes empiezan a
Moving on to the next phase and having signed the deal. And in some cases, that could lead to them pulling out the deal and walking away. So what really you want to avoid on deal fatigue is a very fine line. You want to negotiate and push the things that are important to you that we've talked about, but you only want to push to a point. You don't want them too mad that they will then walk away. So finding that point where you say, it's pushed far enough, it's time to finish the deal and move on to actually working together, that's a very subtle skill that comes from time and experience.
Yep. One of the things that you need to keep in mind is actually, if you're making a deal, you're not making a deal with the enemy. You're both interested in actually making money. So you have to think, okay, this is as far as we can go, and it's okay, and we want this to happen. We want this project to succeed and come to the market and actually make it. So you have to kind of identify when things are just taking too much time and probably going the wrong way.
I just finished negotiating a deal with a client 2 weeks ago, and we pushed it, to the point where the publisher got a little bit angry, a little bit wondering if this is the right partnership. We recognized that that we pushed just far enough, and we finished the deal. Right? But that comes from experience. My client was very nervous. I walk away, and the answer was no. I've dealt with this company. You've seen this before, but the tendency on an independent developer side is no. We don't want to anger them. They'll leave. Let's just sign it, and that's not always the case.
I know it's kind of hard to say something like know where to push and know when to stop, because it is hard to know if the other person is actually tired but you need to be patient, and you need to know when to stop and when to just leave things as they are.
Team approach. So this might seem inconsistent with what we said about the one point of contact, but you're going to have a team that you're going to look to when you're negotiating your deal. It might be your production person, it might be your art person. Anybody who's going to have a commitment to live up to, you're going to want to consult with them in the negotiation. They're going to have to live up to the deal too. So it's important to define who's on your team. Consult with your team.
Yeah, what about if they ask you, like, could you deliver some more art in a shorter period of time? You might not be the right person to actually answer that question, so you need to talk to your team. Are we going to be able to deliver on time? Are we going to be able to do such and such? So that's why, although you're going to be the point of contact, you should definitely keep in mind that you have a team and you have people who know how your company actually works, and you need to ask them, are we going to be capable of actually delivering? Are we capable of providing art this way? Do we need to talk to somebody else? And that is something that is going to help you to make any decision whatsoever.
I'm usually the point of contact in most negotiations for my client. I can't answer if the staffing plan is going to change and you're going to hire people in the first 2 months versus months 5, 6, and 7. So a very common tactic at that point is for the point of contact to say, I hear what you're asking, let me go back and check with my team, I'll get back to you. Not only do you get confirmation, it also buys you a little bit of time to digest what they're asking and hopefully make sure that you've thought it through thoroughly and that it's going to work for you.
Yeah, remember, you have a company, and a company is a team. Probably you're going to come back with a better plan. Maybe you're going to come even with a better offer, or with something that it's going to give you a better position or even more money.
And no matter what, I think this is the most important part of the team approach. There is always going to be one decision maker and one leader on your team. If it's your studio, at the end of the day, you consult with your team, you make sure that they can do the job that you're asking them or the contract is going to provide for, but at some point, you make the decision and you tell them, okay, I took your input, I did the best I could, but this is what we're going to live up to. Make a decision and be the leader of the team. And this one I think is the most important, or one of the most important. Sometimes the negotiations get really angry, and I've been in some where people are yelling and screaming and walking out of the room and threatening to scrap the deal. But at the end of the day, you sometimes still get it done, and you sign the deal, and now you have to start working with the people that you were yelling at yesterday. So my advice is to always mend fences after the deal's signed. And the easiest way that my clients mend fences is they blame the lawyer for all the bad things that happened in the negotiation.
Yeah.
So
You can blame us,
yeah,
always.
it's part of
It's
our
okay.
job.
Yeah. We're in chupacabras, so it's okay, you know. So one of the things that I always say is like, yeah, you're not dealing with the enemy. Eventually, yeah, people have their own interests and objectives, and they want to pretty much put whatever is convenient for their company on a contract. But at the end, we're all trying to make money, as we said. You're not dealing with the enemy. At the end, you go and ask them out for dinner, you take them and maybe have some aguardiente or whatever they like, or I don't know, invite them, play a FIFA or whatever you want to do, and actually you're going to become friends and you probably are going to make more deals in the future. What were you saying about the lawyer that you had lunch with after?
So years ago, I was in a very, very contentious negotiation. We threatened to sue each other many times. Eventually it got solved. I flew up to San Francisco to have lunch with the lawyer to just sort of mend the fences, as the slide says. We found our common ground. We understood why we were yelling and arguing. There was underlying situations that we weren't aware of. This person's been a good friend of mine now for the last 10 years, and she became a client of mine. So the next time that same situation came up, instead of wanting to fight with me, she hired me to help her. So mending fences works on all levels, and it doesn't just work for the lawyers, it works for you.
Yeah, and remember, like once you sign a contract, it's not like the other party is going away. You're going to be with them for 6, 7, 8 or months or 2 years. Something's going to keep happening. You're going to keep talking. And if by the end you have a good relationship, if you have a problem, you're going to be able to talk it through, and it's not going to be a hostile environment in which, you know, it's going to probably end up on a contractual litigation or something like that.
And it all ties together. So if you've been upfront and honest with them from the beginning, if you've been consistent with them from the beginning, things probably won't need to get too contentious. You probably won't need to mend too many fences. So as long as you keep things running in a proper fashion, this should be relatively minimized. But if you do all of these things throughout, be aggressive and be bold with your product and what you're selling, but not too bold that it becomes sort of a false bravado and you scare them away, or they think that you can't deliver, then I think everything will go smooth and you shouldn't need this as much.
Okay, now we...
Yeah, so I think that's all we wanted to cover. Again, it all applies no matter what type of negotiation you're dealing with, whether it's a...
Except if you're dealing with terrorists.
Yes, that's true. Then you need
You don't want to mend fences.
Yeah. But the same principles apply whether it's a $20 million deal or whether it's you're negotiating for a salary and some employment. So I guess really the question is, you should ask yourself, what would you do if you were a dog playing poker, right? It's just think about it that way and be consistent, and negotiations will always go smooth. And we left time for, I think we have about 5 or 10 minutes for questions. Do you have a microphone for questions?
Si no, grita.
You said that we should make sure to deal with the right person. How do we make sure?
Perdón, ¿te puedes poner el micrófono más cerca porque no escuchamos?
You said we needed to make sure that with the right person before signing a contract. All that. How can we get sure about that?
Well, if you don't know, then probably you're not doing it. So the way that you know is if hopefully people on your team will be able to help you define that, right? If you've got a person working with you on the biz dev side, an agent maybe, certainly the lawyers, will have a sense of that and will be able to tell. If you're not sure, negotiate with them anyway, it just might be longer than you think.
Yeah, if you're talking to somebody and it says assistant, you're not dealing with the right person. Or accountant, you're not dealing with the right person.
You always want to go as high up the ladder as you can that you know of, right? And that your team knows of. If nobody on your team knows any better, then you must deal with the person that you have to.
Yeah.
But always try to do better.
And there's always somebody in charge of the project. So, Patrick, when you answer, try to use the microphone so the translators can actually.
Buenos días. Yo tengo una pregunta. Somos un grupo de trabajo de 3 y pues no tenemos mucha experiencia. Arrancamos un proyecto con un cliente que nos dijo que por no tener experiencia no podíamos cobrar lo que era. Y pues nosotros pensamos cobrar como actualmente se cobra en el mercado. Pero él nos dijo que no y pues terminamos aceptando por falta de experiencia lo que él nos decía. ¿Cómo sería una forma correcta de poder nosotros cobrar lo correcto o llegar a un punto medio entre los dos?
Ok, dame un segundo, se la traduzco a Patrick y ya le respondemos. So he's a team of 3, you know, he was negotiating a deal with a client, but the client said that he couldn't charge as much as they were asking because they had no experience whatsoever. So how do you actually approach this type of situations?
It's not about the experience necessarily, it's about your cost, right? There's a certain cost that you're going to have, and if you lay out that cost in the negotiation, they shouldn't get a discount because you're less experienced. You still have a cost, right? You've told them what you pay everybody, and it's there. They either like the quality or they don't. So that's how I'd lay it out to them. Just they're trying to take advantage of your lack of experience by saying because of that you should charge less. Well, you don't charge less. You know what it costs. So that's how I'd go back to them and say, why should that matter?
Yo también te respondo, pero en español, por propósitos logísticos. Eso es algo que siempre va a pasar. Una de las grandes mentiras es que te dicen, eso está muy caro para lo que tú has hecho o para tu experiencia. Los costos tuyos fijos no mienten. Pase lo que pase, ustedes tienen que comer. Pase lo que pase, tienen que pagar arriendo, tienen que pagar licencias. O sea, ese es un costo que tú te puedes decir mentiras si tú quieres y puedes decir, dale, yo lo puedo hacer por ese precio, pero al final quien se va a ver afectado eres tú. Esa es una de las muchas mentiras como las que le dicen, pero ¿por qué tan caro? Mira que vamos a hacer otras cosas más. Vamos a trabajar. Este es el primero de muchos proyectos. Esa es la mentira más grande del mundo y créeme que si te dicen eso es porque te voy a dar este trabajo porque después te voy a dar más. Hey, hoy es hoy. Lo que vamos a hacer es hoy, llave, y es así, funciona de esa manera.
And one other point on that, if their concern is that you're inexperienced and you may not be able to do the job, then there's other ways to solve that problem. Not to pay you less, to pay you what you need to perform, but then maybe figure out a better way to reward you if you deliver. So if they're worried that you can't do the job, that's a different problem than your cost.
You have a call. No, I'm just kidding. For the questions. Okay. It's already on.
Buenos días. Por acá. Por aquí.
Ok.
Tengo una pregunta. Nosotros tenemos un demo que venimos trabajando aproximadamente 2 años de un proyecto y lo que estamos tratando ahorita es de conseguir inversionistas o un inversionista por lo menos, puede ser extranjero, puede ser nacional. No sé si hay alguna plataforma o un medio de poder uno presentar esa idea o ese proyecto de lo que ya hemos desarrollado, ya que necesitamos pues conseguir el otro presupuesto para poder terminar el proyecto que venimos trabajando. Entonces me gustaría saber si hay alguna plataforma o que ustedes sepan en dónde yo me pueda conectar para poder presentar esto.
There's not necessarily a platform where you can upload it and have people see it, but I think from a networking perspective, there are agents and consultants and management companies that always look for games that they can help try to find investors for. Networking at the various conferences, the GDCs of the world and things along those lines, I think are important. Just networking in general, I think, is the only sure way to do that. It takes time, but there is no one place where you can just say, here it is, do you want to back it? beyond crowdfunding, Kickstarters and things along those lines, which are of course available. But there's not. But there are lots of people, and some of them are here speaking this week, that are consultants that are looking for good projects that they could maybe take out to the market, and they know more people that might be interested. So I would encourage you to talk to some of the other folks that are speaking this week.
Sí, o sea, aparte del networking, una de las herramientas más grandes, digamos, que puedes utilizar es asistir a los shows y a las diferentes dinámicas que hacen, digamos, no solamente a través del ministerio, por ejemplo, sino también las que tienen COBA o la IGDA también. Son buenas plataformas que te ayudan, digamos, de pronto a conocer gente que te pueda apuntar en la dirección correcta. Otra de las cosas que yo siempre propongo, aparte de conocer gente, es ir a los trade shows como GDC, por ejemplo. Eso es muy importante, es algo, yo sé que es caro y que obviamente no es como si quedara media hora o algo, pero es una inversión importante y te lo juro que vas a adquirir un feedback muchísimo más importante de que el que puedes ahora mismo desarrollar tú solo. Siempre hay que socializar antes de empezar a comercializar. Vamos a hacer como 3 preguntas más porque ya tenemos el otro speaker. ¿O 2 preguntas más? 3 preguntas más, ok. ¿Quién sigue?
Buenos días.
Yes, good morning.
Mi pregunta es si en
Now,
Colombia
I want to ask if in Colombia there is some sort of organization or association that have set up sort of tables that according to your experience, according to your formation, education, whatever, or to the degree of responsibility of that person,
cobrar sus
he
servicios.
can charge.
O sea, si ya hay una asociación que tenga una estructuración sobre cómo puede uno cobrar.
How much you can charge for your work.
Si la vida fuera estable todo el tiempo, yo no bebería ni malgastaría nada. Si fuera así de fácil, realmente sería increíble. Pero hasta con los abogados tenemos algunas tablas y no funciona de la misma manera. Desafortunadamente no funciona de la misma manera. Sí, obviamente puedes apoyarte con tus compañeros o con la gente de COA. Tienes gente de muchísima experiencia, Alejandro, Eibar, la gente de Segicombo, todo el mundo de los que están acá, te pueden indicar más o menos cuánto puede cobrar un proyecto o cómo es el presupuesto y cómo se establece, ¿ya? Pero no hay una tabla como tal, como experiencia, 2 años, puedes cobrar hasta $200,000, o sea, realmente no hay una tabla, o yo no conozco, y si fuera así de fácil, realmente...
Yo por acá.
Yeah, over here.
No sé si, gracias por los comentarios que nos han hecho. Qué pena que te haga la pregunta en español, pero los nervios pueden conmigo. No sé si tienen algún consejo más que todo para una empresa muy pequeña, muy joven, de 3 chicos muy talentosos, pero muy jóvenes. Están un poco como, digamos, nerviosos por cómo arrancar. Somos 3 chicos, somos 2 diseñadores y un programador, hacemos videojuegos, somos muy buenos, pero digamos que estamos un poquito enredados, confundidos a la hora de negociar. No sé si tengan algún consejo, pues aparte de los que ya nos han dado, teniendo en cuenta eso, que estamos empezando. Gracias.
They're asking you, and then I'll go.
I think it depends on who you're negotiating with. Obviously, if you're negotiating for a 4th person to come on board on your team and help you with some artwork or whatever, you may not need to negotiate as much as opposed to if a publisher comes along and wants to buy the rights to your game. If you get to that point where there's actually money being talked about for buying those rights, I would encourage you very strongly to hire a professional, hire a lawyer. If it's not us, hire somebody who knows how to do this, because if there's money on the table that's being offered, then you'll have money to pay for that service, right? And I have a client who I talked about earlier. They had never used a type of deal before. They were very skeptical, and I said, I'll tell you what, I'll wait until that deal's signed. If there's a deal that's on the table now that's real, I won't charge you until it's done and signed, because then you'll have money to pay. So it really depends on the type of deal that you need help with. But most good lawyers will listen to you. I know certainly will listen to what it is that you need.
van a
you know, we're not
quiere
going to
saber
charge
qué es
you
lo
if
que
you
ustedes necesitan. Y bueno, va a decirle, bueno, yo no la voy a cobrar hasta no llegar a una negociación exitosa. Finalmente, los abogados lo que venden es su servicio y su tiempo, y por supuesto, si más tiempo, pues va a requerir de pronto de más pago. En fin, todo depende. I think that to negotiate the first times is not that easy, but costs are online. There are fixed costs that are, and eventually you learn to know how much is your time and your work. Time would tell you that. It's not that you wake up one morning and say, okay, I'm worth 45 million pesos, because those sort of things do not exist. Experience will tell you that. Oftentimes you charge too little and you tell yourself, oh, I made a mistake. I could have charged 30% more. But you cannot go out to the market and say, and I know everything. No, you will fall. It happens to everybody. Oftentimes you charge cheap. It happens to me. I charge very little. But when I did an excellent deal, I charged in excess of whatever what I thought at the beginning. And as Patrick said, if you are just beginning, I know it's difficult, but there are many things that you can learn along the way. I think we are in the last question. Thank you. Good morning. You mentioned in the beginning of your presentation about different ways to let know the product. In the beginning, maybe negotiated based on credit and IP rights and just mere money. But I'm doubtful of the first 2 points. If I'm negotiation on credits or on license, how the investment I have spent, as you have already mentioned, I have spent on fixed costs that are there, and I cannot ignore them.
You didn't get it? Ok, que falló la traducción, se lo voy a traducir rápidamente. O sea, falló está diciendo que he was saying that sometimes if we're going to ask credit, like this is what is important to me, credit. How am I going to be able to actually, recover my initial investment? How should I do it? Like if I'm asking for credit, like am I doing only for credit?
Yeah, no, to clarify, I would never advise that credit be the only thing that you care about in a negotiation, because obviously if you sunk time and money in there, you need to recover that investment. But beyond recovering the investment or recovering some of it, many developers, particularly with their first project, one of their biggest concerns is the reputation and letting people know that we did this. And so sometimes credit is a bit more important in the first deal to some independent developers than it is to others. So certainly not one or the other, but sometimes credit is more important than, say, a royalty percentage on profits, because profits may not be there anyway. So depending on how they're defined. Certainly you always want to recover as much of your investment as possible, and that should be your primary concern.
Como dijo, una de las cosas que había dicho Patrick de pronto al final es, estas técnicas de negociación no solamente son de pronto para utilizar con publishers, sino también en contratos particulares. A la gente que es estudiante, que de pronto no se puede dedicar tiempo completo, que quiere colaborar en algo, sí,
times when you don't dedicate it, you are dedicated full time and you want to get recognition, the credit, and that effort to be remunerated. I am part of your project. I work with you, but I want the credit. I want to include it in my portfolio. That is one of those cases where credit ends up being the only, let's say, sort of reward for your work. But yes, I agree with you. If you have your own business, your own study, and the power company comes in and cut your service because you haven't paid, now you need to recover those costs. Okay, thank you very much to all of you for having listened to us. For Patrick and myself, it was very important to be here. We hope to be back again. Thank you all. To Mintic, Victor, Juanita, all of you, and the Minister Luna for having invited us. And now we leave you with a good presentation.